We are Stephanie and Peniel Tish, and we serve God in Guatemala. We are the directors of a maternity and children's nutrition clinic called Zion in rural Guatemala. We've been open for 2.5 years thanks to the support of generous donors. Our mission is twofold: provide high-quality medical services to the people of San Andres Sacabaja, and at the same time invite people to encounter the love of God through our actions and words. We would like to share with you the testimony of Alfredo, who we met 2 years ago when he was a very sick 16-year-old. While we usually focus on children under 5 years old in our nutrition program, sometimes the Lord leads us to make exceptions, and Alfredo is one of those exceptions. Here is his story. My name is Jesus Alfredo, and I'm 19 years old. When I was 13, I started getting very sick and had a lot of stomach pain. The pain was very strong and I couldn't eat. I stopped going to school and I just stayed at home every day. The pain got stronger and stronger, and when I would go to the bathroom, I was bleeding. I also noticed that I wasn't growing the way the other kids were, and many people made fun of me because I was so small. My father took me to see many doctors, public and private hospitals, but nothing worked. I took all the medicine, but nothing changed. My parents also took me to witch doctors, and they asked pastors to pray for me, but nothing worked. So people made fun of me a lot because of my size. I couldn't grow, and I was sick all the time. And I couldn't go to school because I had to go to the bathroom every few minutes, and I couldn't eat normally. I thought about taking my own life. None of the medicine that I took did anything. Nothing helped. So it got to the point of wanting to end my life. But thanks to God, we had the opportunity to meet Peniel and Stephanie. They helped me. They told me that God could heal me and that God loves me. So they prayed for me and they took me to do exams and tests in another city. And thanks to God, I took all the medicine the doctors gave me and I started to get better. My parents and I accepted Christ here. Thanks to God, He healed me. Right now, I'm different from how I was before. What can you do now that you couldn't do before? Now I have a job. Before I couldn't work. I couldn't go to school. I could hardly do anything. Now I can work. I can eat. I'm independent and I don't have to depend on my parents. God has given you a new opportunity, Alfredo. It's a gift. We were praying often for Alfredo and his family, and we took him to a gastroenterologist and an endocrinologist. But things have changed for you now, right, Alfredo? Your height has increased, your weight has increased, you aren't sick anymore, you can eat, you can live a normal life. Only God can do these miracles. Thank you all for your support. This is Deborah, one of the babies in our nutrition program. Her mother came to Zion for prenatal care last year.
We always tell our prenatal patients that they are welcome back when they have their baby if they need help with anything, so we were glad to see this mother come back to us in July. At that time, Deborah was 11 months old and weighed 11 pounds. She was not meeting age-appropriate milestones. She could not sit unassisted or roll over, and she was not receiving any solid food. She was only breastfeeding. This family is very low resource. Their typical diet is corn tortillas with tomato sauce. We are supplementing Deborah's diet with a specialized formula developed by a nutritionist in the United States, and we spend a lot of time at each appointment on education with the mother about feeding strategies for a 1-year-old baby. We see Deborah every 2 weeks to check her weight and height and address any other concerns the mom has, such as fever or cough, for example. In the last few weeks, we have seen progress with weight gain and development. Recovery after malnourishment is a long road, but we aren't going anywhere. This family has also been added to our home visits program because, as with all of the babies in our nutrition program, there are many lifestyle changes that need to happen to keep Deborah healthy, and those changes can only happen in the context of the families day in and day out. We finished the appointment praying for Deborah and her mom and encouraging them to seek God, because we know that He has Deborah's life in His hands and He has plans for her, and they are plans for good and not for harm, plans to give her a future and a hope. When we aren't at the clinic, we are out in the mountains visiting families in their villages. Our time is split 50-50 between the clinic and the villages. Right now, we are actually trying to buy a truck because our current vehicle is not 4-wheel drive, so we've been borrowing a motorcycle to get into the mountains. We do home visits within a 2-hour radius of the clinic. There are families in the mountains for whom it is impossible to get to our town because it is too far to walk and they do not have the resources to pay somebody to drive them. Imagine if you had a child who was malnourished, but you lived so far away from any kind of help that you just had to hope and pray they get better. You know that it would be good for your child to eat vegetables and meat, but those things are luxuries that you can only afford a few times a year. Corn tortillas are the main food group because you've been able to sow a bit of corn beside your house. Speaking of your house, it's only one room and everybody sleeps in the same room on wooden boards for beds. There's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no bathroom. We are trying to fight malnutrition in Guatemala, but how can we possibly say to that family, you need to give your child lots of fruit and vegetables, meat and eggs, when they are just trying to survive day to day? Those things are impossibilities for them. And these are the families that we are trying to reach in the mountains. Our town of San Andres is a valley. We are surrounded by mountains on every side. We look at the mountains and it looks so vast, it's hard to believe that there are people living there, hidden in small shacks between the trees. The need is great here. There is so much suffering in Guatemala, but the mountains are a constant reminder. I lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth.